My phone buzzed at 3:35 am, a bank alert. I sat straight up in bed, heart pounding. My account was overdrawn by 5016, $45,000 gone. I stared at the screen, blinking over and over, hoping it was a glitch. But it wasn't. That number told me everything I needed to know about my family. My name is Jacqueline Wilson. If you're hearing this, please stay with me. I have a story to share that changed my life forever. This all happened the week I turned 32. I didn't hesitate. I called my dad right away. He answered, music playing and my mom laughing in the background like everything was normal. "Dad, something's wrong with my account," I said. "My card's maxed out." "Did something happen?" A pause. Then his voice annoyed. "You're always so dramatic. The family needed help. Your mom had surgery, your brother's truck broke down, and the mortgage was behind." I sat there shocked. "Why didn't you ask me?" I finally managed. "We don't need to ask. You owe us." Before I could respond, my mom laughed coldly over the speaker. "What were you going to do with that money anyway? Buy yourself some cake and candles. We had better plans." A silence fell, deep and painful. That silence was the worst birthday gift I've ever received. I took a deep breath and said calmly, "Then don't ever call me again." And I meant it. I hung up and got to work. I logged into every account I had. I checked every automatic payment. I reviewed every contract and agreement I had signed. They thought because I was the responsible one, the one who made it work, they could keep taking from me forever. But that night, I decided something had to change. I became the one who cut the ties. The mortgage, canceled. It was in my name because my mom's credit couldn't qualify. The truck, repossessed by noon the next day. The bank marked the charges as unauthorized. I didn't argue. My mom's student loans, frozen. I had co-signed but quietly pulled back due to financial stress. I removed myself from everything. No fights, no warnings, no drama. Just quiet steps away. That stolen birthday gift was the moment I lost them for good. The next morning, my phone lit up like a wildfire. Missed calls, texts, some angry, some confused, then suddenly sweet. "Jacqueline, the truck is gone." "What's going on?" "Honey, did something happen with the mortgage?" "The bank says it's in default." "Just call us. We're family." Family. That word only mattered to them when things were falling apart. Where was it when they emptied my bank account? Where was it when they used me without asking? I ignored it all. That day I froze my credit. I changed every password. I called every company and agency and cut every connection. I was cutting the cords they'd used for years. They forgot I wasn't just a nice person. I was the one in control. My name was on the truck, the house. I was co-signer, backup, emergency contact. They used me like a debit card that never ran out, and they thought love gave them that right. But this wasn't about the 45 Zalozen. It was about how easily they took it. No guilt, no second thoughts, no asking. They ruined my birthday the day I turned 32 with cold hands and selfish choices. The same people who taught me what love was supposed to look like. But now it felt like a lie. Like they sold me a dream and signed my name at the bottom without telling me. I looked back at old messages from last Christmas. "We're proud of you, kid. You're a success story. We don't say it enough, but you're our miracle." I used to cry reading those. Now I just felt empty. If I was really a miracle, why was I treated like an ATM with a heartbeat? So I did to them what they had done to me. Quietly, I disconnected everything. I ended every tie. While they called and texted and begged, I took a deep breath. For the first time, I wasn't trying to fix everything. I wasn't the helper. I was the wall they couldn't get through. By Saturday, they were desperate enough to come to my house. I watched through the peephole. Dad pacing the porch, red-faced, like he owned the place. Mom crying loudly in her leopard print sweater, louder than the doorbell. But I didn't open the door. I didn't say a word. I let them yell through the door. They screamed and shouted, but to me it was just noise. Yelling means nothing without respect. They banged on the door for about 12 minutes, begging me to listen, throwing out threats. "Jacqueline,
You're ruining everything.
We trusted you. How could you do this to your own family? I calmly sipped coffee from a mug they gave me 2 birthdays ago. It said Pawan daughter. Kind of funny now, isn't it? I waited until the noise stopped. Then I opened my laptop and sent one final email to my lawyer. Full disconnection. I removed their power of attorney, cut all financial links, and ended every shared responsibility. No more family phone plan. No more Amazon Prime I'd paid for 7 years. No more Hulu or Netflix in my name. No more utility bills. Especially since Mom's credit couldn't qualify. I shut it all down. Later that day, I saw Mom's vague emotional post on Facebook. It's always the ones you love most who hurt you the deepest. She didn't tag me, but I knew it was about me. Her friends flooded the comments. You raised her too soft. She owes you everything. Kids today are so entitled. Entitled. I gave them everything, not because I had to, but because I believed in family. I believed love meant helping, supporting, and being there. But they turned that idea of family into a weapon. They used it to take from me, again and again. That night I changed my phone number. Before shutting it off, I left one final voicemail. You chose comfort over honesty. You broke the trust we built over years. Now you can rebuild without me. Then I blocked every number. No drama, no revenge plan, just quiet. The same quiet they gave me every time they took without asking. But now the silence belonged to me. The next day, I got a text from my cousin Joyce. Did you really shut off the gas at your parents' house? It's freezing, Jacqueline. They have no heat. I stared at the message, then replied calmly. I didn't shut it off. I just stopped paying for it. No response. Just 4 little dots, like she was typing. Then nothing. That silence hit harder than any insult. Later, I got an email from Mom from a random address. We didn't raise you to be like this. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. Here's what she never understood. They did raise me this way. They taught me love had to be earned. That being family meant fixing their problems, cleaning their messes. That my worth depended on how much I could give, how much I could carry, and how quietly I stayed silent about it. So yes, when I cut off the gas, took back the truck, stopped paying the mortgage, and pulled my name off the loans, I wasn't being cruel. I was just returning everything they gave me. All the years of pressure, silence, and guilt wrapped up as parenting. My dad once said, family doesn't keep score. He said that right after I paid his second DUI fine, so I stopped keeping score. I closed the whole account. That month, I started therapy. My therapist asked me, when did you first feel responsible for your parents? Without hesitation, I said, when I was 14. Mom cried because she couldn't pay the electric bill. So I got a job sweeping hair after school. That's when I realized I wasn't being raised. I was doing the raising. I was holding everything together. And all I've done since is grow up and walk away from the people stuck in place. I don't feel guilty. I feel clear. Because choosing yourself feels like an attack only to the people who saw you as someone to use. And I'm not available anymore. Not for fixing. Not for saving. Not for sacrifice. They renamed the family group chat without me. Threads I created were now places to talk behind my back. Joyce sent me screenshots. Jacqueline's heartless. We gave her everything, food, clothes, a roof. She got successful and forgot where she came from. Let me remind you where I came from. Eviction notices taped to the windows. Watching Mom fake seizures to get bill extensions. Dad borrowing money and calling it a gift. They say I should be grateful. But I turned survival into something better. I took what little I had and created stability. Not just for me, but for all of us. But they didn't want stability. They wanted control. They wanted me to stay small, thankful and dependent. Because my growth forced them to face their own choices. And now, I'm done playing that role. When I finally stood up for myself, they called me cold, heartless, ungrateful. They forgot the dinners I paid for. The Christmas gifts that made holidays feel special. The birthday parties I planned and paid for, even though they never remembered mine. They only remembered what I gave, not how often they took. Joyce messaged me again. I know it's messy, but they're still your parents. I started typing, then paused, deleted it. Then I wrote, if you break someone again and again, don't act surprised when they stop coming home. Then I blocked the thread and muted the guilt. That night, I posted one short message to my small group of friends online. Boundaries don't make you mean. They just make silence easier to live in. Within hours, messages poured in. People I knew and didn't. I needed this. I've been Jacqueline too. Thank you for saying what I couldn't. I didn't need the family's version of me anymore. The selfish daughter, the ungrateful sister. That version was never real. I rewrote myself. And this new me, she's here to live. It was a rainy Thursday. I lit a candle, brewed tea, and for the first time in a long time, just sat still. I felt peace. Then my phone buzzed, a voicemail from Mom. Jacqueline, it's your mom. Your dad fell and broke his leg. We're at the county hospital. No insurance, they won't do surgery unless we pay part of it. We know you're upset, but this is serious. This is family. Please call back. 4 minutes of silence followed. I stared at the phone like it was a ticking bomb. I knew that voice, that tone, the one that pulled me back in, not with love, but pressure. There was no apology, just another emergency. I opened my laptop, pulled up a spreadsheet I called history. Emails, screenshots, bank statements. Proof of every time they emptied my account without asking. The birthday they forgot but still charged dinner to my card. The $45,000 they stole and called, helping the family. I stared. That new emergency didn't feel like mine. It felt like another trap, a fresh guilt wrapped in old pain. So I didn't call back. I let the rain keep tapping. I stayed still. I didn't write a check for the hospital. I wrote one to myself, a deposit into what I now call my peace fund, a promise to protect my peace, even when guilt tries sneaking back in. And it did try. Guilt whispers, you should help. You're the good one. But this time I didn't listen. I slammed the door shut. I texted Joycey, tell them I hope he heals. But I'm not going to hurt myself again just to fix their pain. She didn't respond. For the first time, that silence didn't hurt. It felt like fresh air. It felt like freedom. That night I slept with the window open just enough to let the cool air in. No buzzing phone. No panic calls. For once, I wasn't bracing for a crisis. I was just resting. Because letting go of people who never respected your worth, that's not being mean. That's choosing to live. And for the first time, I was really living. A few weeks later, I walked into my cousin Christine's wedding. I went with my head high, my heart strong. I didn't go to please anyone. I went because Christine mattered to me. She was the one who always saw me. Not as the family fixer, but just as Jacqueline. I knew my parents would be there. Mom in a tight dress she probably couldn't afford. Dad with a cane, wearing a rented tux. The limp looked more like a performance than pain. As I walked in, I felt their eyes on me. Not warm, not loving. Just watching, measuring. I wore black satin, not to mourn, but to show I was no longer the little girl they could control. I wasn't there to make peace. I was there as my own person. They didn't say a word, but their look said everything. Talked to us. Fix this. Do what you always do. But I didn't move. I didn't shrink. I sat with Christine's friends. I laughed loudly. I danced with joy. My happiness was quiet rebellion. You don't get to decide how I feel anymore. During dinner, Mom walked past my table. She stopped, placed a shaky hand on the back of my chair, said softly, "You look different." I met her eyes and replied, "I am." She tried to say more, but I gently raised my hand. "I'm here for Christine, not for you." That was enough. Her eyes glistened, but not from sadness or grief. For the first time, she saw what she had lost. She saw me. Not the version they could use. Not the one who gave in and kept helping. I wasn't their rescue boat anymore. I had become a lighthouse. Shining bright, still safe, but untouchable from far away. At the wedding toast, Dad raised his glass and looked my way, expecting me to smile, nod, or offer peace. I didn't move. I didn't lift my glass. I didn't pretend. Peace doesn't come from acting like nothing happened. Peace comes from walking through pain and deciding not to carry someone else's burdens anymore. I was done carrying theirs. That night, I danced until my feet ached, sang until my voice cracked, and when it was over, I left without saying goodbye. At home, I did one last thing. I turned off the final autopay, the last tether to my past, my childhood. It's been a year now. A year since they took a 45,000 from me. A year since that voicemail broke more than my trust. A year since I stopped answering their calls and started answering my own needs. The guilt doesn't hit the same anymore. It used to be a loud alarm in my chest, painful and loud. Now it's a quiet noise I shut off with truth. The truth is, I gave them more than money. I gave them my heart, and they treated it like a bank account, a card they could swipe without a second thought. That card is closed now. I've built something new. My own apartment, my own business. A circle of friends who don't use family as a weapon. Friends who don't drain me to feel full. Friends who don't need anything from me to stay close. This year on my birthday, my phone didn't ring. No card, no fake text. Nothing. But then I heard a knock. It was Christine, standing with a cake and candles. She looked at me and whispered, "You were never the problem. You were just the first to escape." We lit the candles together. We didn't make wishes. We just breathed. Because healing isn't always loud. Sometimes healing is choosing not to open the door. Even when loneliness knocks wearing a face that looks like love. I stopped chasing blood ties. I started choosing soulmates. People who don't ask for your energy just to feel okay. People who call not because they need help, but because they care. Mom still posts vague updates online. Dad still plays the victim in family talks. But their voices don't echo in my life anymore. I've built walls made of self-respect. And now, I don't care what they say, because I don't belong to them anymore. I belong to me, fully, finally, and freely. If you've ever felt used or taken for granted by the people who were supposed to love you, remember, you have the right to choose yourself. You have the right to say no. You have the right to build your peace. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more real stories of strength and growth. You're not alone. We're in this together. Would you have the courage to say no and walk away? Let me know in the comments below. After that explosive week, when the silence finally fell, I thought I'd feel relief. But instead, there was a heaviness, like the weight of years of unspoken pain pressing down on my chest. I realized I'd been carrying more than money. I'd been carrying their expectations, their guilt trips, their endless needs. For so long, I was the responsible one, the daughter who fixed the broken car, the one who paid the bills, the one who kept the family afloat, even when it felt like I was drowning. I replayed memories in my mind, birthdays forgotten, promises broken, love twisted into obligation. I remembered hiding my own needs, putting my dreams on hold, so they could live comfortably. And for what? To be robbed blind, treated like a bank account with a heartbeat. That week, I started therapy. It wasn't easy facing those truths. I had to learn that love doesn't mean sacrifice without respect. That saying, no, isn't cruelty. That protecting yourself isn't selfish. One of the hardest things was accepting that my parents might never change. That their idea of family was different from mine. That loving them didn't mean I had to carry their burdens forever. In therapy, I found clarity. I learned how to set boundaries, firm but kind. How to recognize when I was being used and when I was truly loved. And how to rebuild my self-worth, piece by piece. I also started rebuilding my life on my own terms. I moved to a new apartment, a small sanctuary filled with light, calm, and my own choices. I started saving money for me, my peace fund, my freedom fund. At work, I found a rhythm. A career that didn't just pay the bills but fueled my purpose. Colleagues who valued me not for what I gave but for who I was. Friends became my new family. People who listened without judgment. Who supported without strings. who celebrated my wins and held me through losses. Each day, the guilt loosened its grip. I stopped answering calls that drained me, stopped replying to texts that twisted my heart, stopped carrying the invisible chains they'd wrapped around me. Instead, I learned to answer to myself, to listen to my needs, my hopes, my limits, to say, enough. And with every no, I said yes. Yes to freedom, yes to healing, yes to a future built on respect and love that doesn't demand sacrifice. Looking back, I understand now that sometimes the hardest love is loving yourself enough to walk away, to break the cycle, to stop being the fixer, the rescuer, the unpaid caretaker, because you deserve better, and so do you. If you've ever been taken for granted by the people closest to you, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, know this: you have the right to stand up. You have the right to say no. You have the right to live for you. Healing is messy. Healing is hard. Healing takes time, but healing is possible. And it begins with choosing yourself. If Jacqueline's story resonates with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And if you want to hear more stories like this, stories of strength, survival, and breaking free, subscribe to the channel. Let's walk this path together. In the next part, I'll share how Jacqueline built a new life, the friendships she forged, the small victories she celebrated, and the hope she found in herself. Stay tuned. After breaking away, Jacqueline faced a daunting truth. Freedom came with loneliness. The silence that once felt like relief now echoed through empty rooms. No family dinners, no phone calls, no shared holidays, just quiet. At first she questioned herself. Had she done the right thing? Was the cost too high? But deep inside, a spark was growing, a tiny, fierce flame of hope. She started filling her days with things she'd neglected for years. Books unread, hobbies abandoned, dreams put on pause. She learned to savor simple joys. Morning sunlight through the window, the smell of fresh coffee, walks in the park. For the first time, Jacqueline was living for her, not for anyone else's approval or needs. Work became more than a paycheck. She found a career that aligned with her passion, one that challenged her and made her feel alive. Her confidence grew with every project, every small win. But more importantly, Jacqueline began building a new community. Friends who saw her, really saw her, beyond the money, beyond the fixer role. These friendships weren't conditional. They weren't based on what she could give, but on mutual respect and care. People who called just to check in, not to ask for favors. Jacqueline even started volunteering, helping others who felt trapped by toxic family dynamics. Sharing her story gave her strength and gave others hope. Therapy helped too, teaching her how to set boundaries without guilt, how to recognize red flags, and how to rebuild trust in herself. She learned that self-love isn't selfish, it's essential. Months turned into a year, and Jacqueline's life transformed. Her apartment became a sanctuary of peace. Her bank account reflected her hard work and independence. Her heart healed in the company of those who truly cared. One night, she sat by the window, watching the stars, and realized she was no longer a victim of her past. She was the author of her future. Jacqueline's story is a reminder. No matter how deeply you've been hurt, no matter how much you've given without return, you can reclaim your life. You can build something beautiful from the broken pieces. It won't be easy. There will be setbacks, doubts, and lonely moments. But the freedom and peace on the other side are worth every hard step. If you're on this journey too, know that you're not alone. There is strength in vulnerability, courage in boundaries, and healing in choosing you. Thank you for listening to Jacqueline's story. If it touched you, share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe for more real stories of resilience and empowerment. Together, we rise. Jacqueline's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the hardest battles are fought within the walls we call home. It teaches us that love should never come at the cost of our peace, that boundaries aren't walls meant to shut people out. They are the gates we build to protect our souls. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's the first brave step toward reclaiming your life and your happiness. To those who find themselves trapped in silent sacrifices, remember this: your worth is not measured by what others take from you, but by the love and respect you show yourself every day. Jacqueline chose freedom over guilt, healing over pain, and in doing so, she found a new family, one built on trust, care, and authenticity. If her story resonates with you, if you're ready to reclaim your power and live on your own terms, join us. Subscribe to Telling Story with May for more real stories of courage, survival, and transformation. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to say no, to walk away, and to choose themselves. Because sometimes the greatest act of love is loving yourself first.